Hello, everybody. This is James from Praagh. How are you? Welcome to SoulCARE on this Monday, December 12th, is it? I think it's the 12th. 13th, Monday the 13th. I'm here busy in my office preparing for a new course. Hi, Suzanne. Hi, Jennifer. As you can see behind me, the mess behind me in my shelves, and if you could see over here, you would see loads of books. Loads and loads and loads and loads and loads of books because I'm researching and when I do after do a course, I develop the course and I spend a good 2 months probably researching, developing, and working with the spirit world and sitting quietly and see what happens. So I'm developing a course for next year for the school, and it's called The Game of Life and How to Play It, based on Florence Shin's book from 1929. And it's going to be a great course so far. So I'm breaking it up into six different segments. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4 segments. Three topics per month. 3, 6, 9, 12. Yeah. So there'll be for every month there'll be a slice like a pie. A slice of the pie is going to be something to. The lesson is going to be one is about responsibility. One is going to be about thoughts of things. So all different types of lessons, and so I'm working on that diligently right now as I'm having my home painted. So it's a really kind of interesting time. Some of you were there. I don't hope you had a nice weekend. A lot of you are getting ready for the holidays, I'm sure. I was busy yesterday with Kellee White, my friend Kellee White. We're doing a show tonight, Both Sides Now and Beyond tonight. And we're going to do the shows tonight about a death doula. And for those of you, there it is right there, Renee put that up. A death doula is a person who helps someone pass to the other side. And that's probably become very popular in the past, I'd say 15 years. I remember there was a time where we were trying to figure out what to call it, and we figured death doula. And that's really what it is, a death doula. Someone helps you over. So tonight we're all going to talk about what that is and how a death doula works and so forth. So that'll be tonight. And last night I was very fortunate to do an event with a benefit with Kellee White for grieving parents. And we did many readings for some parents with children. And it was an incredible night. And it never ceases to amaze me, the intelligence of the spirit world and how much they're around us all the time. You know, when the human being asks, are they around us? Of course they're around us, because our love never dies. So love continues to have them around us. So never feel that they're not, even though physically they might not be with you. They are definitely with you. Sometimes we have to do is close our eyes and listen to them, and we can hear them. Hi, Georgina Yellowbird. How are you? You just signed up for the death course. Good. Iveta, the course death doula. Yeah, good. Hello from Germany, Marlene. Nice to meet you. Yes, death doulas are really more and more popular because in hospice work, especially, started. I worked once at AIDS Project Los Angeles when AIDS first started in the 1980s, and I was in Los Angeles. I helped form AIDS Project Los Angeles, and I was part of the spiritual committee there also to help. And there was really not a lot of people that volunteered to hospice at that time because people didn't want to get AIDS and misinformation about it. So hospice work is so important. And this takes hospice one more step. I used to have meeting with nurses all the time in those days, and there was a very limited amount of people that would go with. It was like being with lepers. It was terrible. I used to work in that ward, but we need more people to help people over because so many people are afraid of death. There's no reason to be afraid of death. It's something to look forward to. I know many of you have helped people over. I had the pleasure and privilege of doing that. It is a privilege. I've helped several people over. My father being one of them, and Debbie Ford. And I did Debbie Ford helped her over in a mental state. I wasn't physically there, but I was there emotionally and mentally for her, and we connected quite well on that level. So remember, you were much more than just a physical body, where our thoughts are very expansive. They're out there. So great. Thank you, Tablet. Thank you very much. So yes, I'm busy, very busy working on my JV School of Mystical Arts and doing that. And I hope a lot of you received my blog this week. If you're on my website, my email, you got the blog about self-care. That's come up. A theme about self-care has been very, very prevalent the past, I would say, week to 2 weeks, about people taking care of themselves, having some good self-care. We're so good. A lot of us are good at taking care of other people, but not good at taking care of ourselves. So now is a very good time to really utilize self-care in our lives, our daily lives. And that goes to people in your lives that are pulling from you, that are aggressive towards you, disabling you. Don't want that. I went to this morning. I went to the Ford dealership because it was a recall for my Ford truck I had, and the lady said, I said something funny about her, and she said something about people being strange. I said, well, there's a good time if you just be good to yourself and forget those people. And she said, oh, I love you. You're great. Thank you. Whoever, she didn't know who I was. And she said, thank you. You've made my day for having that good sense of humor when everyone else is down and depressed. So you never know what your word, what your thoughts, what your space, the energy you hold in the space, and how you interact with people will change. Part of my new course, the Game of Life course, I am going to put in there about thoughts are things and our actions are things. And there'll be many different types of exercises to use for implementing that in your everyday life. So it's coming out in first lesson is coming out in February when we have a launch of a new website. So that's going to happen. I have electricians coming over because my lights were out because the painters pulled out the ceiling lights. They shouldn't have. Okay. So today I thought we would open up the floor to some general questions that would help everybody. If you would like to, that'd be great. Oh, hold on. My daughter wants to come in the room. Maze, come on in, Maze. 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 Come on. Come on, please. Come on. I guess she's protecting. She's busy protecting the home. Okay. She's busy protecting the home. Painters. Okay. Oh, yes, it was great. Nikki, thank you, Nikki. That was a lovely time yesterday. I'm sorry it wasn't longer, but next time we'll do longer. So thank you. A very nice group you have. I thought we should do, Nikki, next time a little more explanation about pure communication. Actually, Kellee and I are going to do a Both Sides Now and Beyond. We're going to do an episode dedicated to spirit communication, how the conditions are very, very important to have a successful communication. Because a lot of people don't realize that in communication with the spirit world, there are certain conditions that have to be in place in order for it to be successful. So I think people need to be educated about that, especially when they're working with mediums. And it's very important that they know that. And I don't think there are many mediums out there that will share that with their audience. But in some cases, only the medium really knows. But I do. I've studied it very, very much so with physical mediums and mental mediums from all around the world. So there are definitely conditions that need to be in place when we have successful communication. You can have communication, but a really successful communication, you want the audience to be part of it, as well as, of course, the medium and the spirit people. But the audience is a very vital, vital part, and their mindset is so important. Okay. This is Monica. How do we manifest? Just read the book, The Game of Life. Just read the book, The Game of Life. Very good, Monica. So I will talk about in the course, The Game of Life, manifestation and the power of your mind in creating. There's a couple exercises I'm working on right now as we're speaking on imagination and creation. Because, when you think about it, we are creating, we are God, all of us, every one of us is God. God is not a being that's above us in a cloud. We are part of that energy. We're all God. And God is creativity. God manifests. So we can use that energy to manifest. The problem sometimes I find in manifestation, sometimes, of course, as the human gets in the way again. So there you have the human ego getting in the way and limiting God. Because God says yes, but the human says no. So there are ways for us to manifest, ways that we can do that and make it easier. So I'll be writing all about that. Yeah. Okay. Sherry, do you ever follow up on old clients you have ever seen in the past? How would I do that? I wish I could, Sherry. Curious about boy whose father died and he tried being man of the house. One of my favorite shows of Beyond. I wish, Sherry, I wish I could do that. Unfortunately, with the Beyond show, which is on my YouTube channel now, you maybe saw it there. Unfortunately, I was in a separate building, and that was my own mistake. I separated myself from the producers because, and it was obviously out of fear because I didn't want, in those days when I first started, a lot of skeptics were after me and saying, oh, I knew too much. Was this kind of a cold reading or sort of thing, which I didn't know what they were meant. And I thought it'd be better if I separated myself in a separate building from the producers, which was a really big mistake. I found out later on after the show, because these producers, of course, didn't know how to produce this type of a show or didn't know the subject of mediumship. So I found out much later on after the show was finished, and a year afterwards, I met one of the associate producers somewhere once. And she said, that was a very difficult thing because we promised people readings and we never followed through with it. And that just killed me. I was like, wow, how could you do that? So, and they didn't know any better. So I should have been there for that. But that's part of being in Hollywood. You find things out. Okay. Victoria, it says Mazia. Interesting name. Love that name. What's the best way to ground oneself? Well, you know what, Victoria? In a couple of weeks, Renee, you know when the exact date is. I think it's January. We're going to have a man named Clint, who is kind of the number one expert on grounding. He has a whole company on items of grounding oneself. So we're going to have a whole show on grounding. So we're going to dedicate that. So tune in for that one. For that show, I think it's in January. It'll be in January, the middle of January. Here you go.
Yes. January 17th.
January 17th. And what is his name, Renee? It's Clint
Ober.
Clint Ober, Uber, right?
Yes, he's the guy, the man when it comes to grounding, and he will give you and give everyone who's watching a ton of information and the science behind grounding. It's going to be a very interesting show.
Yes, I just received the products he sent me, and I'm very thankful of that. The mats and so forth. Yeah, fantastic. He's very good. It's very good stuff. So yeah, so watch for that, Victoria. Excellent. Okay. Evelyn, have you experienced people who don't cross over attaching to other people? No, because they don't want to be here. They'd rather be in the spirit world. That's our home. This is not our home. I've never had that. Why would they want to hang out here long enough? I just, this is not the place to be. This is the place that's kind of underwater and heavy, dense place, and that's outside the water. So that's our natural home. So one would usually want to go back home. They don't want to stay here. I've never once had a spirit come back and say, "Oh, I really miss that body. I really miss that sickness. I really want to just hang out with other people." I've never had that. I think that comes under the term of not that it could not happen. By the way, Evelyn, I mean I'm not going to say exactly that would not happen, but more odds are that it wouldn't happen because that's not the natural place. They'd rather be where they feel better, and they feel better on the other side, not here. The other day when I was yesterday, actually, after Nikki's meeting we had yesterday, I got this impression from the spirit world. They said, when you refer to the body to people, tell them it's the husk. It's the husk. And I kind of like that, the husk. I've never heard it put that way, but I kind of like that term, the husk. It's the leftover husk is what it is. I've heard overcoat and that sort of thing. So it would be nothing to worry about with that. But I was going on about part of that being attached to people in Earthbound is very much from the humans' movies of fear and that sort of thing, and that the world is haunted. And I don't think there's a lot of that. There is that, but nothing to the extent that we might think. Okay. Lori Kimball, my 16-year-old has terrible anxiety and misses school often. Can a medium reading help her? Not necessarily, Lori. I would think, though, that there could be some help in meditation. There could be some help in learning. I think meditation and mindfulness would be very, very good for her. I would think that might help. So try that path first. It wouldn't be a medium necessarily, but I think meditation would be perfect. So try that. Okay. Lisa Marie Lotz, what is something the other side has told you that you didn't expect at all? Oh, that's a good question. Very good question, Lisa. Every day I learn something new from this side. One of the things that I found out, which I did not know, was through a reading I did in an audience, and it was a man who completed suicide, and it was he was in the armed forces. I found out. And I found out that he was met by, not necessarily his family, he said he was met by friends of his, colleagues of his, that he didn't even know. He said, brothers and sisters will look after us. So there were brothers and sisters of the military that came to his rescue, that came to get him, and came to help him over to the side to understand his new way of life. So he said that was something very new. So hold on one second. Let me get my dog. There we go. Wow. We have lots going on here today. Okay. Sorry. Lots going on. So that was very new about the guy who had his brothers and sisters and military help over. And it's true, many times I've learned that depending on the condition of the person that passed over, the people the souls that have passed over prior who have gone under those conditions often tend to welcome those over, be in the rescue committee, if you will. Like, for instance, people that die of drug addiction, many times are met by those who've had that experience because they know how to deal with that new soul and their mindset that they have. Okay. Sharon, James, do you have a spirit guide animal? And how did we discover what is ours? Sharon, not that I know of, and the guides constantly are changing as well. We have some that are here often, but then they change as well. And I would say the best way to do it, and I've written books about this, is really sit in the quiet and begin to have a relationship with your guides. By sitting in the quiet, I often say to people, if you would just really sit in the stillness of your being. I often say sit in the closet, and that's where I find that it's less noisy. As you can hear, there's a lot of noise around here right now, but less noisy in a closet. I have a small walk-in closet, and I find that there I'm able to get away from the outside noises and phones and sort of things and sit in the quiet. And it's through that sitting in the quiet over many days or weeks, if you will, 15 minutes a day, I become aware of the space around me to 2 to 3 feet, and then further on. And then I invite those spirit guides to come in with me and to let me become aware of what they feel like, of what I sense with them, the sensing of them. So that's really how it works for me. That's how it's worked for me. And that's how I found out who my guides were. And guides constantly changing too, by the way. There are some that stay with you for a lifetime and others do change. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go soon because we have to cut it short only because I have a lot of happening right here in the house. And I have like 10 people at my house right now, so I don't want to keep them waiting. Do you have more difficult time channeling your own loved ones? Yes, I do, Elizabeth. I cannot, I could, I guess, but I cannot discernment. The discernment is hard because unfortunately, I can't be objective because it's my only heart desire is that my emotion that I'm so connected with them. If I read a sibling of mine, yes, I have done that and I'm able to be objective. But it's very difficult for me to do it on my own, for sure. Without and most mediums will tell you the same thing. Okay. Diane, hi. Are people afraid to hang out with those who feel love and light? I was ditched over it. I'm not sure I understand exactly what your question is, Diane. I don't understand really what that means. Are people afraid to hang out with those who feel love and light? Do you mean friends of yours, the living people in your life? Let's put it that way. I was ditched over it. Oh, that's a good thing. Well, that's great. If you are ditched because you believe you are a loving person and you're a joyful person, you bring love, light wherever you go, and you're more, you look at things in a different way, then and that person or people didn't want to hang out with you, you were spared, you were saved. Good for you. Like attracts like, remember that. And many times when someone emanates light, an awareness, whatever you want to call it, that, and there are those, most of the flame, there are those who look at that and they might feel uncomfortable because they're unaware of it. And most of it's the unknown. Most people are afraid of the unknown. In that case, it's the unknown. So you can enlighten them, but you don't force yourself. Don't force yourself on anybody saying this is the way it is, because everybody has a path to follow. So this is just one path, and this is your path, and it's unique to you, and it's the best way. So you want people in your life that support you and enable you and build you up, not tear you down. So you are spared. Remember that. You are spared. I had that happen here at my house. I had a lady come up to my house who was going to do some cleaning, day clean, to come once a week and clean the house. And after 2 hours, she found out what I did for a living. The next thing I know, I looked out she was gone. And I looked at the door, and her shoes were still at the front door. She ran out. And I remember the show The Munsters. Remember The Munsters? Where they'd go to the Herman Munster's house and be like, whoa, they'd run out. I consider myself fortunate. And she left her shoes, and I could just see a scene of the Munsters. So right now I have a doormat in front of my house, and it said only good vibes here. And I did find out later she was a Christian lady, and which is fine. And God bless Christians. But it was really interesting that she thought I was something. Who knows? Who knows? But we're spared with that. So good for you. Okay, Beth Glopsky. Hi, Beth. Your name looks very familiar. I'm taking your 28-day transformation course. Great. Is it okay to spend more than one day on certain days? Yes. The one thing I want to make sure you do in the 28-day course is make sure you get at least that one lesson. If it's 15 minutes to a half hour for that one lesson, definitely take that, and you can spend longer on it. Definitely. Do not skip a day, though. That's the most important thing with that, because it's a progressive course. You don't want to skip a day. You want to keep that energy building up, building up, building up, and it's only to your benefit to do more of the half hour or the hour in that one course. If you want to do it for 2 hours, that's fine. It's fine. Just don't skip a day. That's the only thing about it. Okay, great. I'll do one more, then I got to skedoodle, everybody. Patricia, is there such a place as limbo between earth and heaven? Very interesting. So I'm writing a show right now, a TV show about that, which is very interesting. And it's I'm using it's a working title, but it's Limbo, Worlds of Limbo, because that's our Christian background. So all I would say to you, sweetheart, there are levels of consciousness, and there are many spaces of consciousness. Okay, and I wouldn't necessarily say bands, if you will, but there are levels of consciousness. So I would say that if you want to limbo, there are levels of awareness. That's really what that is. And there are those people that have passed out of the husk of the physical body, and their mindset is that they might not be aware right away where they are, or they might think they're in they might be surrounded by, I don't know, people of maybe they grew up in a religious way. They're surrounded by people of a religious way. In a way, it's kind of a limbo world, and you're kind of stuck you're in a world which you're not aware of. You're just aware of certain things. I don't think we're ever stuck, though. I don't think we're stuck. I think we're just, again, it's a level of awareness, and we expand as much as we're willing to let go and release and go higher and higher if we allow ourselves. Okay, so I'm going to leave you all with that, and I'll see you tonight, Both Sides Down Beyond, and that's at 6 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Sorry to cut it short, but I'll be longer next time. Okay, bye-bye.